Have a good day, guys. 3. Hey, guys, Nicole back. We're still in that bunker near Area 51, and we're kind of closed off in our little available space here. But I'm back with Mason David here, and we're going to stump a Mason or ask a Mason some questions. We're on part 4. What we're doing is we're doing this series about the Masons and their connection to the divine feminine, how they integrate with women and work with women, work with the community. And just on this last one, we're going to talk about, you see the moons up here. We're coming up again. We'll always come up every 30 days or so on a full moon. But let's talk about what the sun, the moon represent to the Masons.
Well, in Masonry, we have 3 great lights, which we discussed, were the Holy Bible, square, and compass. We discussed that in the previous meeting. But the 3 lesser lights are the sun, the moon, and the master of the lodge. And as the sun rises in the east, that's why in every pendant body for Masonry, the master of the lodge sits in the east. He opens and governs the lodge as the sun opens and governs the day. As the sun sets in the west, so should the senior warden sit to assist the worshipful master in closing the lodge, which is represented by the moon. So the 3 lesser lights are the sun, the moon, and the master of the lodge. And they play that important role as what we call the 3 lesser lights in Masonry. And they illuminate the 3 great lights in Masonry, which are the Holy Bible, square, and compass.
Wow. Okay. So again, there's your 3 symbolism. If you guys were looking for symbolism and just felt that you needed it. Right. You know, another thing is it's how it's related to astrology, guys. How does this all relate? And when you're looking at the Bible, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, we all talk about the knowledge, the sacred union of man and woman. We talk about astrology. We talk about sacred geometry and symbolism, and how the symbolism and rituals affect us in our life. Because if you want to ascend, you have to practice that. You have to practice some type of ritual. You have to practice going within so you don't go without. You have to practice your unity and balance in the male and the female energy. So each one of us is of perfect balance. And in order for the earth and for us to ascend and to get rid of this really bad energy, this bad juju, the crappy energy that's going on right now, and to stop that, we have to find unity. And that starts with ourselves. It starts in our community. And it starts with really getting to know other people. So this is our last piece before October 29th when we go live. Let's talk about your rings. Go ahead and show everybody your rings. What does that represent, the skull? I mean, for me, the skull represents ancestors. It represents our lineage, not just a negative death sign, but for crossing over and to remembrance of other ones. I mean, I do skull jewelry. I don't know if you guys can see that on there very well. You probably can. It's a little bit dark on here, but I'll show you guys. I'll put a picture of both of them on there so you can see we all can represent that. What does it represent to you?
Well, the skull is a very important symbol in Freemasonry. A lot of people look at the skull and say, oh my gosh, it means death, it's terrible. But what the skull means is mortality. And the skull is a tribute to our first ancient and operative Grand Master, who we consider to be Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff was the son of the widow of Naphtali. And Hiram Abiff had great architectural skills. And when King Solomon, in his wisdom, contracted with the king of Tyre to build the temple, they needed a architect who was talented beyond belief. So the king of Tyre said, look, my head architect is the son of the widow of Naphtali. His name is Hiram Abiff, and we will get him, and he will draw his designs on the trestle board, and we will build this temple that's just greater than anything that's ever seen.
And that original design still plays
correct
part today.
Right. The original temple was in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, where the Dome of the Rock now sits. The first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians, and it was rebuilt, and the Knights Templar whole story begins, and that got destroyed, and now the Temple Mount is there. But underneath all of that, the temple still exists in its original framework. But the skull is definitely one of those things where we attribute to Hiram Abiff. It symbolizes mortality, and it symbolizes a tribute to those who have gone before us. And like a lot of people would, let's say, if their father was a Mason and he passed away, this symbol would be a symbol, the ring with the skull on it would be a symbol of the widow's son. Let's say we had a Mason whose father was a Grand Master or a Master of a Lodge. He passes away and the mom is still alive. Then that Mason has received the honor, as much as he doesn't want it, of being the widow's son. So
there's where the widow's son
right.
starts.
So the tribute to the widow's son is by the skull. And there's a number of other meanings, and the skull means to a lot of Masons a lot of different things. And one of the good things about Masonry is you can take the skull, and this skull being a Masonic symbol means something different to me than it does to another Mason. But
so it's kind of personalized.
Correct. And it all begins with, where every Mason who has ever lived was a man that was born of a woman and is, moved on through life through youth, manhood and age.
So you had to be, you guys, again, it had to start with a woman to get where he's at. And so again, that's that respect and that role in life and in lineage and in passing. So, and it just represents so many things. The skull, to me, represents really the underworld, meditation, going back to that Middle Earth or that underground state where that power is, reuniting with that world in that different dimension. And it gives me that strength to look at and to hold my lineage and to go back to that and to contact that. Hey, don't forget, we've got Halloween coming up. That's really what it where that veil is thin, and we contact our ancestors. Again, here in America, it's become, Halloween, a little bit of candy, but we can't forget really where it started, to contact your ancestors, to let that veil lift. And then they celebrate that in Mexico. It's
Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead, that's another thing. It's very inherent that other people celebrate the dead instead of being so afraid of it. It doesn't mean to cause that. It means to celebrate where you've came, honor those before you. And that's why we need to understand our past, our ancestors, and keep that spoken word alive. So let's go ahead and end here. This is our fourth one. Anything you want to say before we hit this?
Yeah, just in this whole series, it's been a kind of a neat thing for me to meet, once a week and talk about how the things, as far as Freemasonry, which is considered strongly a male-dominated organization, how influential women are, and to every Mason. Women are so important. Women mean so much to the Masonic order, and they're held in very, very high esteem. So the only time that women are excluded is when the gavel sounds and we open the lodge of Free and Accepted Masons or York Rite Masons, or whichever appendant body you are doing. Aside from that 1 hour, the several hours of prep and the several hours of post-meeting fellowship, women are 100% welcome, and it's a lot of fun.
So you heard it here, guys. When they're in their He-Man Woman Haters Club and the gavel is hit, that is the time you're not allowed, girls. But you are very much part of it, and I want to thank you for speaking with me and
You're welcome.
Letting people know a little bit about what goes on in Masonry, and that we're all involved, and that we're all working on that cause. Put your comments down below. Hit me up, IlluminateVegas@gmail.com if you have any questions. IlluminateVegas.com. Go to my website, find some more information out. I'm going to put some articles up in this coming cycle. And then on October 29th, we're coming at you live. So if you have any questions, put that out there. See you then. Have a great one. Bye-bye.